This is an island in the Andaman and Nicobar island chain, and it is very special because nobody can go within 5 nautical miles of it without meeting the Indian Navy. Why can this be? Well, we're gonna have to look through the history of it to see. So, long story short, this is the North Sentinel Island, the northern part of the Sentinel Island chain of the Andaman and Nicobar Island chain. It is actually inhabited compared to southern Andaman Island, but it is not inhabited by people you think. It is inhabited by the Sentinelese, a group of people that choose to stay isolationist and never, ever, ever talk to anybody. The Indian government protects them for this exact reason. But what is the history of the island? And maybe let's see some encounters of the Sentinelese. The to find the Sentinel Islands, it's actually pretty big. Right here. Yeah, still small, but at least you can see it on a map. Now let's press start for this video game of a long history. So you have pressed start and you have deployed your Indo-Europeans to this island. These will later become the Sentinelese. They will live very peacefully with no one knowing them. Oop, nope, there's a tribe that does know them. The Orange, who called this island a very, 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 very disturbing name that I will not say in fear of mispronouncing it. But then, new character unlocked. Denmark, Norway. Yes, I know that's not of the flag of Denmark, Norway, but it looks better, so I'm keeping it. When the Denmark Norwegians came, even they didn't see. They were actually the first people to colonize the Andaman and Nicobar Islands before they sold it to the UK. But the UK did see something. New enemy unlocked. UK. When when 1771 passed, British surveyor John Ritchie spotted a field of lights there. Later, British Administrator Humphrey visited the island. But the Sentinelese did not but he did not suffer any casualties, probably because the Sentinelese didn't even notice him. Towards the end of 1867, Nineveh, an Indian merchant ship, crashed on the coast, and they had to run away from Sentinelese attacks and try to survive. They were luckily found by a Royal Navy rescue party. Now it's time for Portman. Portman was a very, very, very popular explorer who loved exploring the Sentinelese. They, well, no, wait, this is wrong time to go that. On 1880, they studied the island and found a network of pathways and small villages. And here's the weird part, they took 6 people with them. A man, a woman, and 3 children, and 4 children. The man and woman died instantly due to disease, so the rest were, well, allowed to go home. Not without gifts, of course, though. Then after that, Portman gave gifts to the Sentinelese regularly, thinking he needed to owe them for what happened. After Indian independence in 1967, Indians kept carefully observing the Sentinelese from a distance. In 1975, Leopold of Belgium, who was visiting the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, was taken on a cruise to visit the Sentinelese. The Sentinelese and the Indians loved exchanging gifts. The first of these happening in 1991. Many shipwrecks actually happened during this time, but they were rescued by helicopters from the Indians and were saved. But the Sentinelese were actually seen scavenging the wreckage for iron, which explains their iron tipped arrows. Whether they already had iron or they recently acquired it through this is unknown. It seems the Sentinelese have unlocked new weapon, Iron Spear. Although it's important to note that the Sentinelese didn't act too kind. Once they got what they needed, they kept shooing them off as a sign of that's enough. But the Sentinelese were shown really happy with this, so. But then, here are some incidents that happened. So first in 1997, India decided that because of Sentinelese vulnerability to diseases that the Indians might bring, they forbid all visits to the island. The Sentinelese were now isolated as they wanted, but not everybody followed this rule. Amazingly, the Sentinelese seem to have survived the 2002 South Indian earthquake in the aftermath of it, like tsunamis. When Indians used a helicopter to look at the island to see if they were safe, they got hit by arrows, but the helicopter was safe. Yeah. Apparently, these people had adapted. New power unlocked. And there were only minor damage to the coastline because of this. But then, two fishermen landed on the island after getting too close illegally to the island. It's a wonder that they actually escaped the Indian Navy. Or maybe the Indian Navy wasn't even looking. Anyway, they accidentally got too close to the shore, in which both of them were killed, likely by iron arrows. The Indian government did not arrest anyone due to the two fishermen being warned by the government, and also because the Sentinelese were just protecting themselves. But this would not be the only time it happened. Probably the most popular story is of an American Christian missionary in 2018. His name was John Allen Chau. He wanted to spread Christianity and his teachings to these people. He first started by a mock setting in Kansas, Missouri, with a lot of different setups that would eventually be useless. According to all the information I got, Chau traveled to and established his residence at Port Blair, capital of the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, where he prepared an initial contact kit including picture cards for communication, gifts for the Sentinelese people, medical equipment, and other necessities. Although the Indian Home Ministry had removed 29 inhabited islands in Andaman and Nicobar from the restricted area permit as they were less in an attempt to promote tourism. However, visiting the North Sentinel Island without government permission remained illegal under the Andaman and Nicobar Islands regulation. So luckily for them, the Sentinelese could be only visited by government-checked people. However, Chau was not. He thought this was Satan's last stronghold, blah blah blah. He was vaccinated, quarantined, Chau paid two fishermen 25 rupees equal to 33 rupees or US $400 2023 to take him near the island of the fishermen were later arrested. Chau expressed a clear desire to convert the tribe and was aware of the legal and mortal risk he was about to take by his efforts. Chau attempted his first visit in a fishing boat, which took him about 500 to 1,600 to 2,300 feet from the shore. The fisherman warned Chau not to go any further, but he canoed toward shore with a waterproof Bible. As he approached, he attempted to communicate the islanders and to offer gifts, but he retreated after facing hostile responses. On another visit, Chau recorded that the islanders reacted to him in a mixture of amusement, bewilderment, and hostility. As he approached, he attempted to sing worship songs to them and spoke to them in Joha, after which they often fell silent. Other attempts to communicate, such as echoing the tribesmen's words, ended up with them bursting into laughter, making Chau theorize that they had been cursing at him. Chau stated that communication They communicated with lots of high-pitched sounds and gestures. Eventually, Chow's last letters, when he tried to hand over fish and gifts, a boy shot a metal-headed arrow that pierced the Bible he was holding in front of his chest, after which he retreated. On his final visit, Chow instructed the fisherman to abandon him, and when he reached, he was killed by the Sentinelese, who just got tired of his silly antics. The fisherman stated that he saw his body being pulled all the way into the forest and then later buried the next day. The Indians tried to find the body while facing a Sentinelese injury, but quit after they could not find it. Many movies were made of this, made Sentinel Island popular and stopped people from going. The reason there were so little people going is because this was surrounded by the Royal Navy, so if you got there, you were incredibly lucky. Royal Navy, did I say that? I meant Indian Navy. Anyway, why is there a coconut and a Diet Coke there? Because in 2025, that's exactly what an American left. Yep, that's right. He went there, left a coconut and Diet Coke, which the islanders had never seen, the Diet Coke. He took a sand sample and he took a video as if he was asking to get arrested. He was. Well, this was one of the first times where they illegally came there and didn't die. He called himself a thrill seeker, but who cares? The authorities claimed that he was doing a military operation to spy on these people. And it was probably from a secret service in the USA that needed to be stopped. Interestingly, he also did this to the Jawara tribe. You have successfully finished this level. Blah blah blah, all rewards garden, you have made all your stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Also, I recently released an animation of the Aral Sea. Yep, that's right, a mapping animation of how it shrunk. It's a YouTube short. Apparently the algorithm didn't like it, so if you watch this video, be sure to watch that, and I will see you next time.